Stephen A. Smith. I'm Molly Karam. How's everybody doing today?
I'm good.
What's up,
a little
Molly?
tired, but I'm ready. I'm
good.
All right, let's do it. You know who else is good? Kevin Durant. Did you see what he did? His tie-breaking jumper right on time in the closing seconds to lift the Suns to a 130-126 victory over the Mavs on Sunday. After Luka Doncic's potential tying floater missed moments later, a little bad blood from last season's playoff series spilling over the Doncic and Devin Booker nose-to-nose before getting double technicals. Durant scored 37 points in the first meeting between him and Kyrie Irving since they were both traded by Brooklyn. KD, how you feeling?
No emotions at all. It's another game. Like I told somebody earlier, I played most of my career. I played against Kyrie, so he was on my team for the last couple years. But majority of my career, I played against him, so I know how I feel.
We did our best to make sure the ball found the right people, but D-Book and KD kept attacking, and they kept him in the game. Felt like we were making some solid runs, and it's just we couldn't get over that hump to close them out. So just got to tip your hat for them continuing to play and do the little things to get the win.
Kyrie dropped 30, by the way. Stephen A., I'll start with you. Is a narrow win against the Mavs and their struggling defense a good or bad thing for the Suns?
I don't think it's a great thing. I'm not going to go as far as to say definitively bad because anytime you got Devin Booker and Kevin Durant putting on the show that they put on, that's certainly not a bad thing. My concern is that I need production from CP3 and Deandre Ayton as we move forward. If the Phoenix Suns are truly going to be that team that represents the Western Conference in the NBA Finals. Kevin Durant and Devin Booker doing what they did. Let's call it what it is. That's to be expected. When we look at them, we expect anywhere from 55 to 70 points a night from that duo. But you want to see more from Chris Paul. You certainly want to see more from Deandre Ayton. And I'm not necessarily talking about numbers, fellas, KP, Wendy. I'm talking about involvement. I'm talking about their activity, not standing around and looking at Booker and Kevin Durant to save the day. Your bench is very, very thin. God help you if Deandre Ayton gets in foul trouble. Of course, CP3 sometimes is not going to be bringing up the basketball. He's approaching 38 years of age, and you don't need to put that workload, but you still need some level of offensive productivity from one, if not the both of them, but definitely at least one of them. It can't just be Kevin Durant and Devin Booker. And so when I look at it from a tight game standpoint, I was impressed with the fact that the Dallas Mavericks remembered that Tim Hardaway Jr. could actually shoot the ball. You get him the ball, he actually could make some shots for you. He ended up with 21 points last night. Christian Wood had 17. But, you know, finding that person other than Kyrie and Luka obviously is just as important for Dallas as well. And we don't even need to bring up defense because we know they struggle in that regard flagrantly and collectively. But in the case of the Phoenix Suns, I'm just thinking about CP3 and or Deandre Ayton. You got to get production from at least one of them if Phoenix is going to represent the West.
That's all you thinking about? That's the only two players you thinking about? Like, let's stop dancing around it, okay? Let's stop dancing around the whole situation. We're not talking about that game last night when it comes down to the Phoenix Suns. We're talking about them winning the championship and making it to the NBA Finals. And didn't I see a video of you with that sneaky little grin you be having, talking about, you know who he is. He's Kevin Durant. We understand that. But who are the others? And last night showed the example why I don't have Phoenix as my favorite for us coming out of the Western Conference. It's not about just two players. It's not about just four players when you talk about adding Deandre Ayton and Chris Paul. Last night, Devin Booker and Kevin Durant both played 40 minutes. 40. When I went and looked at their bench, the only person off the bench that really even came close to playing, I believe he played 15 minutes last night, was their highest substitution, the guy that played the most minutes. So when I look at that, Stephen A. and Wendy, I'm saying they don't have enough. They don't have Jay Crowder no more. They don't have Mikal Bridges. They don't have Cam Johnson. Who's going to be the others that come in and step in off the bench? Because, again, strength are in numbers when you're trying to win a championship. So it wasn't about the yesterday game against the Dallas Mavericks. It's about the championship. And when I look at this team, they are not stacked. They don't have enough depth to go out there and compete in the Western Conference. I don't give a damn if they did get Kevin Durant. At the end of the day, we evaluate the Phoenix Suns on championships and making it to the NBA Finals, period.
Yeah, I was at the game yesterday in Dallas. It was a tremendous regular season NBA game. Sunday afternoon, national television matinee, the great Hugh B. Brown on the call. Star player. There was 5 guys who are going to have a good chance to be Hall of Famers in the starting lineup for that game. The 4 superstars who are in their prime combined for 137 points. It was an incredibly enjoyable game to watch. But I was thinking after the game, if this was a playoff series, if it was 1-0 Phoenix, what we'll be talking today is about what you're saying, Stephen A., because you're an experienced watcher of these games. We'll be talking about Chris Paul. Because the game plan that the Mavericks put into play is the game plan I'm sure that the Denver Nuggets and the Golden State Warriors and the Sacramento Kings are going to be watching. And what they did was they decided that they were going to try to take away Deandre Ayton. When Ayton ran pick and rolls yesterday, they collapsed the middle. And they basically said, Chris Paul, we don't think you can do it. And look, Dallas isn't a good defensive team. And that is why they're probably not going to ultimately make a long playoff run this year. But there are better defensive teams out there. And in this case, they only held Kevin Durant to 17 shots. I know he had 37 points. But when they're holding the box score after the game, they're saying, look, if Luka makes a 4-footer, we're going to overtime. And we held Durant to 17 shots. That's what you want. You want to hold his shots down. Chris Paul, in some ways, is going to define how far the Suns are going to go in this postseason. And I actually think Josh Okogie is the best of his options. He goes 0 of 8 on threes. Okay, so now he goes to Torrey Craig. Torrey Craig is bigger, a little bit better defensively, but shaky. He goes 1 of 4 on threes. So Monty in the second half is down 8 points. He looks down his bench and he goes to Ish Wainwright, who's got a great story. You should look it up. Played with the Buffalo Bills a few years ago. Ish Wainwright was a two-way player 10 days ago. He has one of the games of his career. It's 4 3-pointers. That's why they won. They won because the guy who was a 10-day guy 10 days ago hit some 3-pointers. And Chris Paul made a couple of shots late. But if I was in a playoff series against the Warriors or against these Mavericks, I'd be a little skittish about where the Suns are.
Well, what I want to say to going back to Kendrick Perkins, I want to emphasize nobody's disagreeing with you, bro. The Denver Nuggets, I think, are the clear favorites in the Western Conference. They've got all the pieces. They've got a star. They've got supplementary parts. They've got athleticism. They've got depth. They've got perimeter shooting. They play defense. We see a lot of things from the Denver Nuggets, and what we're not seeing from the Phoenix Suns is a bench, is depth. And I get that Wainwright showed up yesterday and hit toward 4 3-pointers, ended up finishing with 12 points. That was big time, and CP3 scored a couple of baskets as well. But the reality is that we're talking about what we saw yesterday. And when we're talking about yesterday, all we're saying is when you look at the Phoenix Suns, it can't be Kevin Durant and Devin Booker and an unknown that has a beautiful, beautiful day. At some point in time, Deandre Ayton and Chris Paul has to show up to the party in order for them to have a chance against your rightfully ordained favorites out of the Western Conference, Perk. That's really what this comes down to. They got to show up. And CP3, 11 points. No, you got to be more productive than that. DeAndre Ayton finishing with 9 points. This is a dude that can average 20 and 10 on a night-in, night-out basis. You have to do it. And the excuse can't be, well, Kevin Durant and Devin Booker's there, so we're deferential to them. And so we're going to play spectator and watch them do their thing and carry us. And I brought this up yesterday, too, when I was talking on NBA Countdown. The fact of the matter is that even though Devin Booker's that dude and he's physical, we know how great and phenomenal Kevin Durant is. But y'all know the game slows down in postseason basketball, and Kevin Durant's going to do his thing and he's going to get his numbers or whatever. But as teams, as the playoffs wane, they're going to get more and more physical, and they're going to be allowed to get away with that level of physicality. And when you're thin on your bench, you're relying on those dudes to do more, and you're going to rely on the starters to be able to step up and hold up their end of the bargain. So to me, even though you're right, KP, about Denver being the favorites, the point is you're trying to make the case that if Phoenix is to have a chance, what you saw yesterday wasn't enough. The other dudes got to step up.
No,
too.
but
that's all I'm saying.
But No, I'm with you on that, but it's not even just about the Denver Nuggets being the favorite. I'm looking at the Golden State Warriors, and I'm saying to myself,
I agree.
If they match up with the Phoenix Suns, I'm going with the Golden State Warriors.
So am I.
I'm even going to the extent of it depends on Ja Morant's situation. If he get back in time, Memphis has home court advantage. I'm picking Memphis in that series. And I don't know what could happen if they face up against the Sacramento Kings, because Mike Brown got this young group playing hell of a basketball. They may be young.
My coach of the year.
And they may go into the postseason not experienced, but they have old souls, the way that they play, the way that they committed on both ends of the floor, and the way that they sacrifice their individual goals for the team goals, because they have some flat-out ballers. So at the end of the day, what I'm saying is this. It's going to come down to, in the 7-game playoff series, teams are going to make adjustments. And Deandre Ayton is going to have to elevate his game. And I talked about this earlier in the season, even before the trade deadline. Like, it's time for him to take that leap. And now that you have Kevin Durant, you're not going to ask more out of him offensively, but I need to see Deandre Ayton anchor a defense. I need to see Deandre Ayton. He has 16 rebounds, but I need to see an impactful 16 rebounds. I need to see him bring that tenacity. I need to see him bring that grit, that grind. I don't know if he have it in him.
Well,
and I think at this point, hold on, 1 second. I think at this point, it's unfair. It's unfair to ask more out of CP3. Like, the guy is 38 years old. Like, he is 38 years old. We know that he's on his way down. He's, what?
Well, I'm not asking more from him. I'm just asking him to be him. Whatever we're accustomed to seeing from him before Kevin Durant arrived, that's all. And as it pertains to DeAndre Ayton, that's also on Monty Williams, because DeAndre Ayton doesn't need to be outside of the three-point line trying to defend Luka Doncic. Thanks for watching ESPN on YouTube. For live streaming, sports, and premium content, subscribe to ESPN+.